Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to ADHD KC Conversations. I'm your host, Kristen Stuppy, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Sara Whelan. Hey, Sara.
Hi, Kristen and everyone. I'm excited about today's episode.
We have such a wonderful guest with us today, Dr. Carolyn Danda. She's a licensed psychologist with over 20 years of experience helping kids, teens, and families navigate challenges and build resilience. She works especially with kids who have big emotions and things like anxiety, depression, ADHD, and behavioral issues.
Yeah, and what I love about Caroline is that she brings together so many approaches: cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, ACT, PCIT, lots of alphabet soup there, but so many different approaches. And she really focuses on the mind body connection. She's a mom of three, and she brings both professional and real world parenting experience. And in October, Dr. Danda will be our speaker for the ADHD KC parent group. Her talk is called Front End Strategies to Avoid Power Struggles and Meltdowns. We'll have the talk on Tuesday, October 14th, 6:30 p.m. Central, and it's online. Caroline, welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love talking about all things ADHD, big emotions. And so I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share a little bit about what I've learned through my practice and being the mom of three young adults now who all are neurodivergent in some way. So I feel like I've got the clinical experience as well as the life experience that I like to speak to.
Well, I'm so excited that you're coming back to talk with our parent group. You've led several of our parent group sessions in the past, and there's always been great feedback from your talks. People always walk away with actionable tools that they can start using every day. And you're quite the author, too. I see your thoughtful post on LinkedIn and articles in various psychology magazines. You're the co-author of Surviving to Vibing, or From Surviving to Vibing, Filling in the Gaps with Karen Montgomery, which offers accessible mental health support for youth and parents. How do you choose which topics to write about?
It's really about what's coming up in, what I'm doing in my practice, what my families are bringing to me, what the kids are bringing to me. If there's something that comes up over and over again, then I'll often just want to go ahead and put that out there so that other people are benefiting from it. It's kind of like a teacher will tell you if, a student asks a question, it's most likely that another student has that same question. And so I kind of look at it from that perspective. If the same things are coming up, then I want to share that. And really my passion is trying to get what I do in the office, which a lot of families do find helpful. I want to get that out of the office and into the hands of more people. And so that's why I want to do podcasts and I want to write and I want to get that information out there. Sometimes it'll be like what is showing up in, social media and things like that. I don't try to be too trendy, but I try to be aware of what's going on and just really want to talk about what people want to hear.
Yeah, well, I know it's so helpful, and all of us as parents are always looking for trusted professionals like you to give us recommendations, some advice. 'Cause parenting is hard, right? And so,
It is,
yeah, it really is.
even
We're
for a
all in
child
it
psychologist.
together. Right? Parenting is parenting, right? No matter what your
Yes.
profession is. So this also brings us to something I know you're passionate about, very related: parent self care, right? And regulation. And we parents have to really help our kids work through big feelings. And kids who can hold it in all day at school, there are many of those. I have a few, my house, myself. They may lose it at the end of the day, or just be completely quiet, right? And just may not have much they don't want to talk at all. Um,
Right.
and they may struggle, at home at the end of the day to get anything done if a parent really isn't there kind of helping them through that. And it's frustrating and it takes time. And if you could give parents one or two tip top, recommendations for their own self-care and mental health, what would those be?
I think number one, it's related to self-care, but it's also about thinking about your kids and really thinking about meeting them where they're at. And I think whenever parents are worried, like, is my kid ever going to dress themselves? Do I have to monitor them every day in the morning to get them dressed? Yes, you will, probably for longer than you want to, but eventually it's going to happen that they will learn how to dress themselves and feed themselves, and they will do all of those things. And so I think that once we accept our kids for where they're at, it can help us be less frustrated with them. It doesn't mean we don't still push them forward to grow, but I think that reduces parent frustration. And I think no matter who you are as a parent, there are going to be times where you're going to lose it, where you're going to be frustrated. And it's just a lot to manage a household and to parent. So a lot of it is taking a breath, right? Give yourself permission to pause instead of running on the what's next, what's next, what's next. Pause. I like to call it the mindful breath, where you breathe in and then you kind of feel your shoulders drop a little bit. And if you have a chance, breathe one more time and kind of feel your mind clear. And do that in between every activity. And what that does is it kind of sets you up for, after the activity or the task is done, you can either appreciate, like, okay, that's over. That was great. Or you might even be like, that was hard. I hope that the day gets better. But you're like, that's over. And then you're like, I'm ready now for the next thing. And so when you create those pauses in your day, the other thing it does is it also can create pauses for your kids. So I love it, like before dinner time. Like a lot of times, especially like if you go to church and you pray, like sometimes there's a prayer before the meal. That's a great time where it's actually, you're just pausing. And then if you're doing a lot of pausing, so like maybe when you get home from driving the kids home from school, you pause for a minute before you get out of the car. It creates the pause for the kids too. And they're going to just know, this is what mom does. This is what dad does. This is what we do, is we just kind of take a pause. So it's beneficial for you, but it's also beneficial to model for your kids. So that's my number one tip, is do the mindful breath. The number two tip is just sneak in moments of calm wherever you can, whether that's listen to a song, like really listen to it, or whether that's just go sit outside for 30 minutes and stare at the nature, because we know nature gives us calm. If you have like a fountain or something, water can give us calm. So even listening to ocean sounds, or if you have running water, maybe you just turn on the faucet and make, the water run and listen to the water and imagine it. So it's getting really creative about finding spaces where it just like, you just kind of let things go so you can refocus yourself on what's next in front of you. And it's really important that you do that, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you're going to run on empty. And then you can't be the parent that you want to be. And then you'll be more frustrated. And then it just gets into a really negative cycle. So give yourself permission to take care of yourself and pause, lean on your neighbors, lean on your friends, find your tribe, go to ADHD KC support groups, know that you're not alone. Those are all really good things to take care of yourself. And it's also just good modeling. Right? You don't want your kids to see like, well, this is how you live life, by running around all the time and being stressed out and being busy. You want to show like, okay, well, how can you manage a busy life, but not be overwhelmed by it? It's not an easy task by any means.
No.
Not at all. And, just you talking about this is bringing back flashbacks of young children in my own home. I am fortunate now to have raised my kids, and they're doing fantastic as young adults. But the memories of all of these things that were so frustrating. And I do feel like I learned a few self-regulation things there, calming down. I once heard a mindfulness talk, and the presenter said every time she goes to the bathroom, she tries to take some deep breaths, because that is a thing that she has to do several times a day. And that reminds her to do that. So you're just talking about taking that pause, that deep breath, taking the moment to do that. And you made such a good point that your kids are watching you. So if you're showing this emotional regulation, that will help them learn some of it. So I think that is a fantastic little tip there that you gave. Because parenting, especially parenting a child with ADHD, is hard. And self-care can help parents stay calm in the chaos. And then when parents are calm, the kids feel safer and are more calm. Emotional regulation isn't technically part of the official ADHD diagnosis, but wow, so many kids and adults with ADHD really wrestle with it. Do you know, why is it such a common struggle for those with ADHD?
Well, I couldn't agree more that I feel like emotion regulation should be like one of the criteria for diagnosing ADHD, because I find that it's so common. But it makes a lot of sense. When you think about ADHD, I think about it a little bit differently than maybe some. I think it's the worst named disorder, if you will. I don't like the name of
Yeah.
it. I don't think it does it justice to really what's going on. So I really look at it as a problem in regulation of the nervous system. So it's that their emotions, their attention, their behavior, their energy, they just don't necessarily match the situation, and they have trouble either down regulating it or up regulating it to match. And so if we look at it from that perspective, it kind of makes sense that emotions is one of those things that they have trouble regulating. I love Ned Hallowell coined that term, like they have a race car brain. And I love using that with kids. I say, you've got a race car brain, but bicycle brakes. And so part of our job is that we have to build your braking system so that you know how to slow down. So I really love using that analogy with kids. And it's also makes sense that they have race car emotions because they do go from like 0, not to 60, probably to 100 very quickly. Right. And that's the
True.
thing is a lot of times you can't anticipate like the slow burn as they go up and then they blow up. It's usually this, like, it really is a very quick to go emotion, and then they can't downshift. They have trouble downshifting. And so I think that's part of, why they have a lot more problems with meltdowns and outbursts and tantrums and things like that. You can also think about it too from a perspective of, kids with ADHD, their brains are processing so much stimuli around them. So it's easy to become overwhelmed by just the world around them as they're having to sort through and sift through things that their brain is not doing for them automatically. And so it can be easy to feel overwhelmed, or sometimes their nervous systems just run hot. They're already revved up already. So, and if your nervous system's running hot, it's easy to flip your lid. And so that's, again, part of the reason why taking these breaks, mindful breaks, or kind of creating pauses in the day is really helpful for them so that they can, downshift as the day goes on, rather than what you're talking about, Sarah, is they come home and they've been revved all day and then they just lose it because you're the safe place. But you kind of have to know, what do your kids need when they come home? Do they need that time where you need to be quiet and they don't want to do anything so that they can regulate themselves, even though you're like, but I want to know everything that happened in your day? Or do they want to just word vomit everything that happened in the day? And your job is actually not to do anything about it. It's just to listen.
Yes, absolutely. And, we're parenting for the long haul, for long periods of time, years and years and years. And it can be hard because, we have to adjust to, okay, well, this year it seems like they want to word vomit. Maybe in 2 months or next year, it may change. So we are going to make mistakes, right? We're not going to get it right all the time. And I know you're a big believer that we
Yes.
don't have to get it right every time.
No.
It's just not
And I
going to
haven't gotten
happen.
it right all the time either. I can
None of
guarantee
us
that.
do.
Ask my kids that. I have not gotten it right all the time. We're all
Same
just
here.
really figuring out this parenting thing as it goes along. But I think my message to parents is one of hope. Is even though when it's really tough and it's really hard and you feel like your kid's behind, or you feel like they're really struggling, or why are they struggling more than anyone else, or things like that, that really looking at parenting as a long haul. So there's not any one thing that truly determines their future. They can have really big challenges or really big setbacks, but they can come back from that with the right support and, with your presence as kind of their anchor. Like, that's what you're supposed to be as a parent. You can't fix everything for them. Sometimes you got to sit in the suck with them, and you have to wait for them to catch up. You have to wait for them to grow up. And it's so painful. Let me tell you, it's so painful. But it's also not letting that year where it feels like they don't have any friends, or that they didn't make the team, or they had a breakup, or they're just not learning as fast as everyone else. That doesn't determine how well they're going to be successful as a human being. So it's kind of taking that long perspective, just knowing that there's room for them to grow, and that as long as they know that you're there to help them, then that's one of the number one things the research will tell you that builds resilience, that helps kids, is if they have one supportive adult in their life. That's one of the main things and predictors of success and resilience in kids that are struggling. So if you're just showing up, you're doing a great job. If you just keep showing up, and even if you're making mistakes, right? That's great modeling. You can say, whoa, I totally lost it. I'm sorry, my emotions got the better of me. And you model how to repair things. You model that it's okay to be imperfect, not only in your parenting, but again, I mean, in my life, there's still a lot of things that are happening that we're still growing, and our kids can learn from us. Not if we're saying it in a lecture way, but more as a, this is kind of what happened, and conversational. You can't be like super obvious about it. Or they'll be like, Mom.
Just let them learn from their mistakes on their
Right.
own. They're
Right.
smart. They will figure it out.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that you celebrate the wins, not only
Yes.
in your kids, but in yourself. Because honestly, if you pause, oh, there's that word again, pause, and think about, okay, well, how much is going right? How much is going well? How much are they getting done? I mean, honestly, they're probably anywhere between 75 and 90% of the time. We're doing pretty darn good. But a
Right.
lot of our attention is focused on that 10%. And if we're always focused on that 10%, or like thinking about, I call it pulling weeds. If we're always trying to pull the weeds, but we're never nurturing and planting grass, then the weeds are going to come back pretty easily. And so if you're nurturing and paying attention to the wins and what's going well, those things will naturally continue to develop. And so you've got to focus on the wins. You got to focus on when it goes right. Just remember, hey, that went right. And just because it didn't go right the next time doesn't mean that's a failed strategy. Because one thing I know about kids with ADHD is they are so good at making you inconsistent. Because you'll try something and then it won't work the next time, so then you'll give up. But I would say don't throw out all the strategies just because it doesn't work every time, because a lot of those strategies will work, but they won't work every time, because that's the nature, honestly, of ADHD, is it's inherently inconsistent.
Yes,
That's huge right there.
it is.
Yeah. And as parents, we want to be there for our kids, but we also want to feel like we need to fix everything. Every moment in time, we want to make it perfect for them. But then we're taking away from them the opportunity to learn resilience. So
Right.
I love that you mentioned that. We need
And
to
your
let our
goal is to
kids
meet
figure
them where
things
they
out.
at and give them accommodations, but not to completely like bulldoze and pave the way for them. And I think that's a challenge sometimes, is figuring out, how much do I step in? How much do I pave the road? How much do I leave it to them to kind of figure out? And it really is, I like thinking about it as scaffolding, and really thinking about what's one step that they can take over. What's one habit they can develop? So you're thinking about building things step by step fashion, rather than, you know what, I'm done with homework, it's all on you. Well, that's probably not going to work. That's how I felt
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do a
I
lot.
give up. Yeah. Right.
But that's not, but you have to think about, well, what are all the skills that go into whatever it is you're trying to get them to do? Much like potty training. Like if they can't pull up their pants, or they can't pull down their pants, there's no sense in starting potty training. So if you can break down what you're looking for, what the outcome is, and you kind of do a lot of steps underneath, then you can kind of figure out where you need to start, and what's the habit or what's the thing that you need to either model or reinforce or just be consistent about helping them do.
That sounds like a really good lead in, because your talk is going to be front end strategies and
Yeah.
how slowing down can change everything. Can you tell us more about why you're going to talk about this in October without giving your whole talk away?
So it's really, again, all about that race car brain. So kids with ADHD have a lot of trouble with transitions, or when things don't go right. I mean, how many times have I heard, like they just flip out when something doesn't go their way, or they don't get what's expected, so they don't necessarily want to be told what to do, but they do like some structure. But then when the plans change, it's kind of like a big eruption. And so they don't adapt well. And the way that I think about that is, internally, they can get hyper focused. They're in their race car. They are zooming along. They've got their map. They are going, doing all the cool things, racing around. And then here comes an adult. They come in and they're like, hey, I need you to turn left. Left? What do you mean left? Hey, you didn't tell me that there was a left. Even if you did, they forgot, or they didn't hear it. And so that's the problem, is they're like going too fast to be able to shift. And so
Mhm.
part of these front end strategies is really thinking about how do you help them slow down? How do you help create that space so that they can shift?
That is so helpful just for me, and I cannot wait to hear more. And I hope everyone who's listening, and bring your friends too, invite them, will join us for Dr. Danda's talk with the ADHD KC parent group, Front End Strategies to Avoid Power Struggles and Meltdowns. That's on Tuesday, October 14th at 6:30 p.m. Central Time online. So anyone and everyone can join from anywhere. It's a free talk and sure to be absolutely worth your time. You can find registration, the link for it at ADHDKC.org under the events tab.
I can't
And
wait.
Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking so forward to your talk in October.
Well, thank you for having me. This was so much fun to talk about. You can tell I love talking about this, and I do get really passionate about the big emotions. And so I appreciate the opportunity. I can't wait till I see you guys at ADHD KC in October. I also can't wait for the International ADHD Conference coming to Kansas City. I'm so
Yay!
excited that it's actually here in Kansas City. It's November. I can't remember what the dates are, but I'm pretty sure if you go to ADHD KC, you'll be able to find the dates and the registration there. So they're
Yes.
such a reputable source of information. And that's what I appreciate about Chad and ADHD KC is I know I can always point parents to
Yes.
ADHD KC and Chad to get valuable information, and it's not going to be fake news. It's going to be vetted.
Right.
Because I think it is
Yes.
hard because you do get so much information that comes at you. And so it's hard to know what resources there are to trust. So I just really appreciate everything that ADHD KC does and that Chad does as well.
Thank you for bringing that up. The conference is November 13th through 15th, and it's downtown Kansas City at the Sheraton Crown Center.
Please come.
All right. Well, thank
So yeah, we hope to see you there at any of those things.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.